At the issue surrounding the export expansion grants, there are cases and reports that say that these funds are being given to foreigners who are exporting from Nigeria. What's your take on this?
Yes, you are talking about the free trade zone area. So I remember the president of Man, to complain about that, Chief Jamo, to that. The purpose of this free trade zone is not for them to be importing things or probably exporting things for their own benefits. It's for the benefit of the country and what the business where they are running. So the point is that we should now start looking at the ground whereby our goods are being exported out of this country. One, it will increase our foreign reserve. Then secondly, it will create enabling environment, and our balance of trade will be sorted out. Because let me give you an example. Look at cocoa, for example. Cocoa is we produce cocoa in this country. We grow cocoa. The extract of cocoa powder, comes in form of chocolate, in form of Bonvita. I mean, for crying out loud, why can't we start producing all those things in this country? Cadbury's of this world, they are doing that. We have multi-tress. Then they can be exporting because we have the very good quality cocoa in this country, which are really highly in demand outside there. So we can do that. But the point is that we got it wrong when this oil thing came in, and people are now focusing on exportation of oil, oil services companies. So they forgot to leave all those things for the oil, the marketing, the upstream and the downstream people. So we got it wrong there. That was where the problem started. But now, with the few government policies that have been put in place, whereby they are encouraging non-oil exportation of goods, it will help. But at the same time, we must be able to produce internally to cater for our people before we start exporting. Or else, our people will start importing those goods again, and it will put pressure. So the point is that it's a catch-22 thing. You must be able to produce to satisfy your internal consumption first before you start exporting. I don't know whether I'm making sense here. So the point is that
Are we meeting the local demand?
That is neither here nor there. Are you getting my point? Let me give you an example. When they produce cassava, for example, the storage process, the transportation of those goods to the consumer, so we still don't have the storage process in place. So by the time they produce those things, they get rotten. For example, tomatoes, for example, if you can't, when they harvest tomato, you must be able to store them in a place and in a good storage so that it will be protected. And don't forget about the shelf life of all those products. So having said that, if we are not meeting the local demand, so I'm saying it's neither here nor there. Some people will say, well, they are meeting the local demand, but I expect a country that we produce, we grow tomatoes, we are now planting, doing a lot of rice and all those local things. Our food should not be expensive. Our food should not be expensive. So food should not be expensive in Nigeria. So if food is expensive, then we are not meeting the local consumption. So we need to look into that before we start exporting those goods.
Let's look at the agriculture for 2013. How well do you think that young people were involved in the development of the agriculture sector?
Yes, by the time now, we've started introducing mechanized farming. So the young people, you'll be surprised, some unemployed graduates now, they've found out that, look, I don't need to do white-collar job anymore. I can have my own farm. Even some people who are working now, they have their own farm. So now, it's now being balanced. Young people are now looking into farming. And what I'm now saying is that the process of farming, where you grow and you start processing, so they take advantage of the value chain of agriculture. By the time you grow, you produce, you grow, you harvest, you convert it to something, you start processing. So now, from the look of things, young people, they are now going to farming, because most of these young graduates, when they graduated, they have no jobs. So they look for alternatives. And don't forget that some of these people are very smart, and they are very brilliant. So they know how they can do that. And if you see what young guys are doing now with fish farm, converting it to so many things, they have started exporting fish out of the country. Some are doing a lot of cocoa processing. Some are doing cassava plantation. And see, they have a lot of, even rice, they are planning to have rice mills, cotton too. Young guys are now doing that. So I think people are now aware of the fact that, look, you don't need to have a white-collar job before you can be somebody. Being a farmer, yes, olden days we have the agbekoyas of this world, but no, everybody, people are now doing, even people I would tell you, I have my farm in my village, I have another farm here, I have this. So I think the awareness is there, and people are now seeing it as not a low-level job anymore. It's something that everybody can do.
You talked about foreign direct investment a while ago, and you mentioned that about $80 billion flowed into the economy. But when you compare what happened in 2013 with last year, how would you describe the level of inflow into the Nigerian economy for 2013? In
2013, I think what we had was lower than what we had in 2012. It was about $8 billion. But it's all over the world. It reduced to about slightly below $7 billion because it was a global thing. It all affected all the countries in the world. But I can tell you that Nigeria is number one in the world for FDI. And what is happening is that people realize what we have in Nigeria, that this is a country that is endowed with, I mean, talk about any mineral resources. Let me give you an example. Look at Dangote, for example, now. A South African company, they are now investing in Dangote cement because presently what we produce in Nigeria today is about 28.56 million metric tons per annum cement that is being manufactured. The total that is being done in South Africa is about 14 million metric tons. Out of those 28.6 million metric tons per annum, it's being produced in this country. So very soon, and by the time the Dangotes, Lafarges of this world and all other cement companies hub their production, we can be looking at about 30, 40 million metric tons. So the point is that funds are now coming to this country. But the problem is that some of these funds, when they come in, they need to, we start exporting things too, and probably importing a lot of things. So it puts pressure on our foreign reserve. But by the time, what I'm saying, look at all the Chinese, they are now coming to Nigeria. The Indians, all those foreign companies, even Americans, they've seen a lot of things coming into Nigeria, Britain and everything. So the point is that the FDI has been a source of something to look at and say, oh, look, why are people coming in? Let me give you an example. Flight to Nigeria every day is filled up by foreigners. So there's something in this country that people saw that maybe probably we are not seeing. But now, we are now seeing it ourselves. Because by the time people in government, we have many technocrats who know their onions and they know what to do. So they now go in there and tap it. And we now go out there and invite foreign investors to come and invest in Nigeria. Because they are now looking at our story, that this story is a success story, that we need to be part of this success story in this country. And that is what is happening.
When we look at oil theft, it's one issue that has continued to bother a lot of Nigerians. And in this case, what do you think went wrong in the petroleum sector? And how do you think that this can be corrected?
Well, I think the only way to correct that is to beef up our security and you see, I always tell people this, that if somebody steals something and there's nobody to buy it from you, then you won't be encouraged to steal again. So the people that are stealing our oil, because they sell it cheaper over there. So I think it has to do with the Greek boys then who now saw that, look, this is gold. Our oil is being sold at, this is our own area. What I expect, and I think federal government is doing that, is to protect the territory. Beef it up and see, by the time you make some laws that will affect people doing that. If you are caught, for example, I think one state, as they introduced kidnapping, they said once you kidnap and you are caught, it's death penalty. By the time you start putting very strong punishment for these people doing, because they are, in America, or probably in England, if you evade tax and you are caught, it's a very serious criminal offense. Now, you are stealing the resources of a country and you are selling them. There should be penalty for that, very stiff penalty. And once we do that, I'm sure people will start moving back. I believe we need to be very strong about that, and we need to have stand decision on that. Like, look, if we are caught doing this, and even the buyers, so we need to talk to the international world, our friends all over the world, that look, stop buying these things from this crude from these people who are stealing them, because they are doing it illegally. And by the time we collaborate with our foreign partners, then things will stop.
And just before I let you go, what do you think that we should be looking out for in 2014?
Oh, well, from the ground, I mean, the preparation we've had in 2013, I see a country whereby things will improve. Our GDP will grow, we move up, and if we go by the way all the policies we put in place, I see more 2014 as a year of consolidation. We need to consolidate on the past. We need to start implementing all these policies to put them in place. I want to see the car assembly plants coming in. I want to see, I know Nissan is in the country. They are coming, they started with the bought in Vaughan. I expect to see Toyota too. I heard at Toyota too, they are talking to their local partners here. There's no reason why Mercedes-Benz, I remember AG11Ts, they used to be here. J. Allen, all those, I mean, I foresee a situation whereby things will start improving gradually in the oil and the manufacturing sector, because they are the real sector, and they are the sector that actually produce and help to grow the economy. So I foresee a more prosperous 2014. Yes, as long as we show as a government in this country that we mean business. And if there's no failure of government, I see a better year of consolidation in 2014.
At this point, I'd like to thank you, Honorable Bola Ashiri, for your time with us on the program. And that will be all for now. Please log on to channelstv.com for more on this program. You may also reach us by email and also on Twitter. Thank you for watching. I am Bolaji Akinwale.